Hello, hello. Hey, everybody. This is Jade Simmons coming out with you with episode 3. Can you believe it? 3 weeks already. Episode 3 of Get Your Designer Life. I'm excited about tonight's topic because we are really going to be digging in to some things that I think are really important. And I'm saying things that are maybe not as politically correct as we're used to, but I think that's okay. So we're going to be talking tonight about a subject that is very near and dear to my heart, which is the subject of faith, which I actually think is the missing ingredient. I'm going to try to make sure that I get to see you tonight. I've been missing your comments in real time. Hey, Takira, good to see you. So I want to jump right in. And I want to encourage you to share this. Some of you have been hanging with me on the last couple of weekends at my church. We've been doing these wonderful sessions called Destination Breakout. So think of this in a way as a bit of a continuation. We're still talking about many of my favorite topics. I know Jeanette will love that we're talking about purpose and elevation. We are talking about destiny. I consider myself a purpose pusher. So these are my favorite topics, but tonight I am talking about what I feel is the fuel, the missing fuel that so many of us miss out on. So again, my name is Jade Simmons, and I want to give you a bookmark right away. So the name of these episodes is called Get Your Designer Life. You might be saying, what is a designer life? People always say get your life, but I'm saying get your designer life. I believe with everything in me that we are born with a design, a original blueprint. And I think that most of us, we're born and then we immediately start the process of putting on everybody else's template for our life. You see it all over social media. All of these coaches, right, are telling us that we need to do things how they've done it and then we can get the life that they have. Here's the catch. We're not supposed to have the life that they have. So the designer life is really starting the process of finding out how you are uniquely designed, unearthing that blueprint so you can be about the business of building now, being a part of the building process of the life that you are called to have. So I want you to bookmark designergrowthclub.com. Takira, if you're watching, type that in for everybody so they can go to the website and visit that. We're so excited to be introducing what I believe is a one-of-a-kind club. A one-of-a-kind club for visionary women. Sorry guys, but if you have women in your life that you know would benefit from this, tell them to check out designergrowthclub.com. And we're going to be revealing more details about it over the next few weeks. But I'm excited because finally, not just on Facebook Live, not just from the stage when I'm speaking or performing, but for once and for all, I'm going to get to plug in on a constant, ongoing basis to women who are a part of this new, unique club. So check out designergrowthclub.com. Hello to everybody who's here. If you're just coming in, hey, sweetie. My husband said that I never say hi to him when he comes on. So I'm going to take an extra awkward minute, honey, and say hi. How are you? Good to see you. Okay, moving right along. My name is Jade Simmons. I realize now that I haven't been telling you guys who I am, right? So, because you're probably like, who is this chick? So I'm Jade Simmons. I am a concert pianist and a powerhouse speaker. And I'm also an author of a hit book called Audacious Prayers for World Changers Live and Pray Out Loud. I am also a minister and what I like to call an emergence expert. I help people emerge into the largest version of themselves. I don't like this word anymore, life coach, which I never called myself a life coach. Really the word that I think fits best is that I'm an activator. So I am built to push people into action they probably should have taken a long time ago. So think of me as your personal dream wing woman. I like to help people take flight when it comes to the dreams on their heart, the big vision. I know what it's like to have the burden of big vision and to see the gap, right, between where you are and where you want to be. And so I feel like part of my job is to help people close that gap and get to where they're designed to go. We're gonna jump in tonight with this episode, which is called Faith, the missing ingredient. But before I jump into faith, I wanna introduce another word to you. Again, we're gonna start in on this topic. If you know people who need to hear this, if you know somebody who is desperately trying to get to destiny, who is just prayerfully really trying to figure out what their purpose is. If you know people who are in the midst of transition, whether it's exciting transition, scary transition, let them know that we are on live now. Share this with them so that they can partake in what I hope will be life-changing content for those of you tuning in. So we're talking about faith being the missing ingredient, but I want to throw out a word to you. And the word is compartmentalization. It's a big word, I know. Let me know if you know what that word means. What do you think it means? Hey, Susan, come on in. Compartmentalization. So I'm going to tell you what it means in just a second, but I think that compartmentalization is one of the biggest culprits in terms of getting to our purpose and to our destiny. Hey, Karen, compartmentalization makes us smaller than we're supposed to be, right? You didn't miss it, Mayan. Come on in. You still got time. Go ahead and share for those of you who are jumping in. We are doing this third episode of Get Your Designer Life. We're talking about faith being the missing ingredient. And I am talking about compartmentalization. Compartmentalization, what is it? It's the process of separating yourself. Yes, categorization. Categorizing yourself, separating yourself into various parts or different versions of yourselves in order to function in a way that you think is most effective for the situation at hand. So let me break that down. Compartmentalization means that you might behave one way at work, but you're a whole different person at home, and then a third different person when you're out with your friends, right? For me, in my career as an artist, as a musician who was still trying to find out what kind of musician was I going to be after grad school, I started out strictly playing classical music, Bach, Rachmaninoff, Beethoven, Chopin, you name it, and I was determined I was going to be a classical concert pianist. That's it, nothing else. But as time went on, I fell in love with other forms of classical music. I fell back in love with other genres completely, like hip hop and rap. And then I even started speaking in my concerts when people thought I probably should have just been playing. So what happened is that I started having all these different versions of myself, right? I had a strictly classical version of Jade who wore, designer ball gowns and had very appropriate hair. And then I had Jade who performed in these really cool alternative nightclub spaces where I played funkier modern classical music and started infusing electronics, and I wore, this kind of hair. And then there was Church Jade, right, who went and enjoyed so much being in a faith-filled environment. But that was more of a quiet version of myself who just loved to sit and receive, especially anything having to do with learning about God and how he functions in our lives had me hooked. And then there was a version of me who spoke in a corporate setting, right? Very buttoned up because I couldn't come in as some wild artist. I had to be corporate. I had to look like where I was. So we compartmentalize to look like we fit in the place that we're in the moment. What I want to convince you of today is that we're not designed to live our entire life with 5 to 10 different versions of who we are. It's not how we're designed to be. I believe that we are designed to bring every part of ourselves to every table, every time. And when I tell you, it's the most freeing thing in the world to just be one version of yourself wherever you go. It's the most freeing thing in the world to know that your personality is suited and designed for wherever you're headed, because wherever you're headed is where you're designed to be. It's the most freeing thing to start operating that way. Those of you just coming in, we're talking about faith being the missing ingredient, and I am kicking it off with debunking the idea that we should be compartmentalized. Now, women are masters of compartmentalization. We're going to talk about why that is necessary and natural, right? So we've learned how to compartmentalize our emotions and our feelings. Come on, Gail, you're just in time. We have learned that, look, if we're hurting, if we are in some type of pain, we've got to compartmentalize that pain, put it to the side so that we can deal with our families or so that we can function on our jobs. Very natural form of compartmentalization, right? We've also learned, though, that we have to compartmentalize our style. We say, I might dress this way for work, I might dress this way for play, and I might dress this way for church. And we compartmentalize our style so that we're deemed appropriate. Look, that's highly natural. I hope that you don't wear your yoga pants to church, but maybe if that's what you do at your church, that's what you do. I don't wear my yoga pants to church, but I do wear my workout clothes to work out, right? So there's certain places where it makes sense to compartmentalize. We sometimes compartmentalize our behavior, right? We say, look, I can just be myself with family. With my family, with my closest friends, I'm really silly. I know some of you who are watching know I'm really silly. If I had another life to live, I'd be Missy Elliott, but then I would also maybe be a comedian, right? I love to make people laugh. It gives me a lot of joy when people are doubled over on the floor laughing. So at home, I'm really chill, really laid back. I speak my mind, and I have a good time being myself with family. But I always thought I couldn't be that person on stage in a classical music concert. I had to be very buttoned up, had to be very official, very professional. Do you know that when I decided that I was going to bring home Jade to me when I was in concert mode, totally changed the trajectory of my entire career. Started telling stories. My family is filled with avid and very dramatic storytellers. I started telling stories during my concerts. And when I tell you, the audience just opened up to me, and then presenters would bring me in. They would say, get the piano girl who talks. Because believe it or not, talking was sort of a big deal in classical music because they were used to the musicians just coming out and playing. But I dared to tell jokes, to be funny, to be honest about my reflections about the music, and it changed the way the audience responded. It also changed the people who were in my audience. I no longer just had classical music connoisseurs coming, right? I had people who wanted to have a good time, who wanted to be entertained, who wanted to hear good stories. And then as my career went on, I started infusing other parts of my musical self into one experience, and it changed everything. But we sometimes do compartmentalize our behavior. Hey, Jermaine, we say, okay, I've got to act one way at church, which means I'm on my best behavior at church, but nobody knows that I just totally laid into my kids right before I got in the front door. Or nobody knows that me and my husband completely had a huge argument right before we got in and acted like everything was perfect at church. That's not true, by the way. We did not have a big argument. I'm just using an example, okay? I know my husband's still watching too, so I don't want him to think I'm on here bad-mouthing him, because I'm not. He's absolutely wonderful. Those of you just tuning in, my husband said I didn't pay him enough attention on the last broadcast, so I'm making sure I kind of go overtime for him tonight. Anyway, so compartmentalization means that we take different forms of behavior to different places. We have a certain way we act at work. And you know you've been compartmentalizing when you finally go out for fun with your friends from work, and they go, oh my gosh, I had no idea you were this funny. I found out I was compartmentalizing because I would meet people who I thought I'd known for a while, or at least knew of, and then they would spend a little bit of time with me, you know, in close quarters, and they would say, I used to think you were so stuck up. They would say, I used to think you were, you know, such a prude or so shy. And I'm like, why? Well, they were seeing me in one setting where I was behaving only as one part of myself. So I'm not accusing you of being fake or phony in these other versions of yourself. What I'm encouraging you to do is to combine, to allow all those versions of yourself to play together. Why are we talking about compartmentalization? You'll see, those of you just tuned in, because we're going to be talking about faith being the missing ingredient. One of the main natural reasons that we compartmentalize that. Ellen says she gets that all the time. People think you're so stuck up, right, Ellen, because you're so beautiful and put together. And then they find out you're just the most amazing person on the planet. I know, I totally get that. We worry about rejection. We think if I take my home self to work, they're not going to take me seriously. If I take my avant-garde music self to my classical concert, they're going to think I'm not a real classical pianist. If I take my fun-loving self to this corporate setting, they're going to think I don't know what I'm talking about. So we let that idea in our head build up that if we show all of ourselves all the time, we're going to lose some people. Guess what? You're going to lose some people. That's okay. You're not designed to reach and impact everybody. You will hear me say this a lot. Your voice is tuned to a specific frequency. And part of that frequency has to do with all of you, all of your personality, all of your voice. There's a very specific frequency, and not everybody's ears are tuned to it. There are going to be certain things that I say to you that you go, oh my gosh, that just hits home. Somebody else could say it on another live broadcast 10 minutes from now and you don't even hear it. It's because your ears are tuned right now to this frequency. I believe it was designed to be tuned that way. My voice is designed to sound how it sounds. My style, my personality is designed to be this way because I'm designed to attract a certain amount of people. Out of these 7+ billion people on earth, there are those that are assigned to me. So here's what happens. Here's what happens. If you decide to break yourself up into small little pieces and not bring all of yourself to every table all of the time, you're going to miss the people who are assigned to your voice because you're so worried about missing out on the people who weren't even designed to get you in the first place. So stop compartmentalizing yourself. What you need to know is that by compartmentalizing yourself, you are holding yourself back. There are parts of you at home, at work, at church, at play, there are parts of you that are literally designed to be effective, not just in that one setting, but they're also powerful for other settings too. I would have to say that humor has probably been the most effective tool for me in every setting. Humor works for me at home. Humor works for me at work in all of the different settings that I work in. And humor works for me especially in settings where I don't know the people in the room. It's a unifying factor. So if I went into the corporate setting and the classical setting saying, this is a serious place, I shouldn't be funny, I'd be losing people that I'm designed to impact. The sum of all of your parts are going to make you the most powerful version of who you're designed to be. When you compartmentalize yourself, what you've been doing, hey Diana, what you've been doing is systematically shrinking your possibilities. You've been systematically shrinking your impact because of compartmentalization. I don't want you to do that anymore. And I spent all that time talking about compartmentalization because we're going to talk about decompartmentalizing, not just all those parts we talked about, but decompartmentalizing your faith. That's one of the main things that we pack up in a nice, pretty little box and we put it away. I'm going to tell you, again, you're designed to bring all of yourself to every table, every time, and that includes your faith. But I want to be clear about what I mean by faith. Now, when you hear me personally say faith, I'm talking about, of course, my faith. As a Christian, I'm open about that. But I think there's more to faith than just your specific religious belief or your specific code of conduct, code of ethics, or your specific mindset. There is that. And that part of you makes up such a powerful part of you. It would be a travesty for you to box up your faith and save it only for Sundays. Or save it only for the one space where you allow yourself to express that. Let me talk really quickly about why we're not supposed to talk about faith, okay? Many of us have come to believe that faith is something that only happens on Sunday. You talk about it openly, maybe in church, or you talk about it only with a group of friends who are like-minded believers, whatever you believe. You think that faith is something only for the home, or it's something that's very personal and private. Maybe you think that faith is something that doesn't relate to the other areas of your life, right? And you might even be worried that, well, faith is too personal. I don't want people to know what I believe because they might judge me for how I believe. Or we think, and this is really timely for the times we're in right now, we think our faith is too divisive, right? That if we talk about faith, it's going to cause conflict, or it's going to make us have confrontations we don't want, or maybe we're going to accidentally invade other people's personal space if we talk about or live out our faith. So we all hear this idea of political correctness. I want to just say this. Political correctness, I believe, is necessary. And I believe that it was meant to protect people from being unnecessarily or exceedingly offended or harmed, or it's designed to protect people from feeling unnecessarily uncomfortable in places where they need to feel at ease. I don't believe political correctness was ever designed to rob you of expressing your faith in a way that empowers you and possibly empowers those around you who want to be empowered. So your faith doesn't have to be divisive. It's only that way if you make it a confrontation, or if you make it about conflict, or you decide to invade other people's space. I will tell you right now that in my career as a performer, as a speaker, as an author, along with humor, trumping for the number one spot there, the number one spot goes to faith. My faith has made the most impact in everything that I've done, even when I'm not talking about it openly. So what I want to talk to you tonight is about how do you infuse faith. Now, when I say infuse, I don't mean sneaking it in some stealthy way to settings where people aren't expecting to hear about faith. When I say infuse, I mean, how do we infuse it into your mode of operation so that it powers you, infuses you to be the biggest version of yourself? So we talked about specific belief, right? Your religious belief or mindset, code of ethics, a mindset, a way of behavior that you adhere to. But I want to talk about general belief. General belief in who you are, okay? So let me know in the comments if you feel like your faith has been something that you've kind of kept to the side, or if you didn't know if faith was something you were allowed to infuse, or let me know if you actively infuse it in everything that you do. What kind of role has faith played for you in your everyday life? Not just your church life, your spiritual life, your religious life. How has your faith affected you in your everyday? I'd love to hear that and comment on as I see it. So I believe that we are designed a certain way. And I think the first thing you have to have faith in is how you were uniquely designed. Okay, uniquely designed. One of my strengths, the things I love to do most, especially with visionary women, is sit down and take inventory. I like to take stock of their strengths, of their weaknesses, which they think are weaknesses, which I usually show them are actually strengths, of their talents, their skills. I love to take stock of those things. And then from that, we begin to build a blueprint. We begin to see, I shouldn't say build, we begin to unearth a blueprint. We find out they were always uniquely designed to operate a certain way, right? So they have certain physical traits. You need to think about how you're designed physically. Nothing about you is an accident. Hey, Kelly, nothing about you is an accident. I want you to think about how your personality is designed. Some of you have a dry sense of humor. Some of you are more pensive. You sit back, you're more of an observer. I want you to think about how you're uniquely designed in terms of your personality. I personally am designed to move fast. I like to move things. I like to move things along fast. I like to have things happen yesterday. I am divinely impatient. I hate when people tell me it's a marathon and not a sprint. Oh, I hate that saying. Does anybody else hate that saying? I believe life is a series of marathons and sprints. Susan Fish says, I am my faith. That's huge, Susan. We're going to help people get to the point where they feel like they are their faith and that they never have to separate from it. So I like to move fast. I also want you to think about how uniquely you're designed to move. Everybody's not designed to move fast, and that's okay. You don't have to move fast because Jade says it's good to move fast. I might need you in my life to show me when I need to move slowly. You see, the way the world sometimes pitches stuff to us, we say, I'm the guru, I have the answers, move, behave how I do, and you're going to see breakthrough. No, my breakthrough is not going to look like your breakthrough. We're not built the same way, and that's okay. So your job is to find out, how are you built? How are you designed? I see I have some other sprinters out there who don't like the marathon statement. I want you to think about how you're uniquely designed to think. Last week, I asked you if you were an optimist or a realist or a pessimist. If you notice, I didn't throw out any judgment to those of you who thought you were pessimists. Here's why. You're designed to think in the method that you think. You're not designed to think negatively, but you may be designed to bring rationale to a room. You might be the person who's assigned to bring in logic to a conversation. Nobody wants to be in a room full of dreamers and visionaries. Not just dreamers and visionaries. You got to fill that room with a good mix of people who can balance things out. How are you designed to balance a room? If I walk into a room, I can feel if it's too heavy, and I know, oh my gosh, that's right. I'm designed to bring energy into a room. So if I know that if I have faith, that's how I'm built, I come in the room on purpose, bringing energy. Now, if I'm being honest, I will tell you sometimes you'll have a moment where you second guess how you were designed. You'll come into a room and it's stuffy and you'll say, uh-oh, maybe I should tone down. Maybe I shouldn't have done the mohawk. Maybe I should have worn a suit. And then you'll have to snap yourself out of it and say, no. They didn't bring me in here to look like them. They brought me in here because there's something different about me that I need to add to this mix. So for me, that has been my faith. Even though I don't come in emblazoned with maybe a cross on my chest, I'm usually not toting my Bible. At least it's usually in my bag, but it's not in my hand, right? But my faith is still a part of everything I do, and I'm going to explain that. But I want you to think first about those things, your physical traits, your personality, your uniqueness. How are you designed to move? How are you designed to think? And don't pass any judgment on yourself. Just make this list. Don't pass judgment, because I promise you haven't learned yet how to judge yourself, and you've probably been judging yourself either too critically or you haven't taken yourself seriously enough, Jeanette. For some reason, I feel like I needed to say that to Jeanette. You haven't taken yourself seriously enough. You have no idea how much you're capable of. So tonight, you all are going to find that out. You wanted to figure out how you're designed to function, okay? So you're going to have faith. You're going to make that list, and now you're going to have faith in how you're designed. So when you have faith in how you're designed, that's going to lead to an outcome that I'm going to talk about. You're also going to now have faith in how you're designed to function. So that means there is a personal, did you know this? This is huge. I just want to take a breath here. You have an actual personal set of modes of operation that only you function by. Hey, Fred. Fred just joined. Fred is a community-minded functioner. So he leads with the sense of, how do I build community out of this moment, right? I'm an activator. I come in and go, what needs to move? Let's get it moving. You're designed to operate a certain way, and then there's a certain code of conduct that is all yours. If you have faith in that, it's going to change everything, because you're not going to come in a room and second guess why you're there. You're going to come into a place and begin to start operating how you're personally designed to operate. There's a custom arsenal. You understand this? A bevy of weapons that are designed for you. I've got a bow and arrow that has purpose on the end of it, and only I can shoot it how I shoot it. It's custom made to fit my long arms, right? It's customized for these fingers. It's my weaponry. And if you pick up that bow and arrow, you might shoot yourself because it's not yours. And if I pick up your rifle, I might shoot myself because it's not mine. So you have to begin to have faith that you're designed to function a certain way. You must have faith in that way. I see you, Jeanette. I feel you all the way here. I feel you. It's not just you, Jeanette. There are people in this season that need to know that they are not a mistake, that nothing about them is wrong, that while they can always be tweaked and always fix things and always become more excellent, it doesn't mean that they are not already being perfected. The process of perfection is not about not getting anything wrong or not making mistakes. Perfection is about maturity. So as long as you're maturing, which is what these episodes are designed to help you do, to mature in your faith, to mature in the belief that you are who you are designed to be, and that there's more of you to discover, if you can mature in that operation, you're in the process of being perfected. Thank you, Gail. Gail's calling me the thermostat there. I love that. Let me give you a story here about knowing for sure how you're designed to activate. Many of you have heard me tell you this story. Some of you I've spoken to in different venues, either at your company or at your college. And I try to tell this story wherever I go. So I'm going to tell it now. Forgive me if you've heard it before. I went to the dentist a few years ago. Some of you are already laughing because you know this story. And I went for a routine cleaning. And I got up from my chair, very happy, look, ma, no cavities, right? And so my dentist says to me, Jade, do you want to fix that? And I said, fix what? I thought I was in the clear, right? No cavities. He said, no cavities, but do you want to fix your overbite? I was like, my overbite? I didn't even know what an overbite was. Hey, Patrice, come on in. I didn't even know what an overbite was. And so he tells me, well, it's when your top set of teeth kind of protrude over your bottom. As he's talking to me, I'm becoming more and more self-conscious. I didn't even know I had an overbite. So I get worried. I'm thinking, is this thing serious? And I say, Doc, be straight with me. Is my overbite a big deal? And he said, well, the average overbite, you can fit, like a pinky up there. He said, with your overbite, I can get my whole thumb. He's like, it's pretty extreme. So now I went from not even knowing what an overbite was to finding out I had an extreme overbite, okay? So now I'm so self-conscious. I'm walking around like covering my mouth. I go back, I start looking through all my photos on my phone, right? And it looks like I am biting the heads off of the people in the picture next to me. Like all I see now is this deformity, this extreme overbite. I get so self-conscious. So, I'm freaking out. I'm like, this is crazy. This can't really be this big of a deal because I would have known about it. Gail, you said my hubby loves me. Let me tell you what my hubby did. I went to my hubby. We've been together since we were 15. And I said, Jarrell, this dentist says I have a huge overbite and he thinks I need to get it fixed. And I said, did you know I have an overbite? My husband said, well, yeah, sweetie, that's why I called you my little beaver. What? You never told me. I never knew. Now I'm mad, right? Because I've been walking around my whole life with this extreme overbite, not knowing that I had this thing that was wrong with me. But then it hit me. Wait a minute. God doesn't make any mistakes. He broke the mold with me. So even this extreme overbite must be a part of my story. You're going to have to start looking at the things that people have labeled as deformities, as disabilities, and you got to start taking note and saying, my God doesn't make any mistakes. Why did he make me this way? You know what I discovered when I look back over my life? Since I was a little girl, people were always saying, Jade, you're doing too much. You're too extra. You're doing too many activities. You better be careful or you might bite off more than you can chew. Then I realized whenever I'm in a situation, I'm always able to bite off more than the average person can chew because I am uniquely, divinely designed to function that way. There is something about you that you have judged a disability, the world has judged a disability, and you have allowed that label to set in. You're walking around covering up the very character trait that defines who you are. So I stopped covering up my extreme overbite, and now I smile as big as I can. I throw my head back in laughter, and I accept that this was a hint. This was a hint to how I'm designed to function. So now when overwhelm comes in, I have faith. Jade, don't be overwhelmed. Since the day you were born, you were designed to be able to handle more than most people could handle. So what is it about you that you're going to have to now start having faith that you're designed to operate a certain way, designed to believe a certain way? Here's what happens when you begin to infuse that sort of faith. So faith here, we're talking about not just your specific set of beliefs, but faith in who you are, faith in how you were designed, and faith in how you were designed to function. So when I say designed to function, I mean that there's a certain way. Remember, the word function means, in this case, how you're designed to function for others. Okay? So how are you designed to function? When you walk into a room, what should happen? If you have never asked yourself that question, shame on you. Start asking it now. Before you go into another door, say, how am I designed to function? Why do you need to know that before you open the door? So that you aren't shaken by what's on the other side. So that when I walk into a room and it's a bunch of corporate suits, I don't second guess that I'm supposed to be the wildfire or the high octane or bring in the jet fuel. I'm supposed to do that. So that when I come in the room, I don't get shaken. You can't be shaken by who's in the audience. You can't start behaving differently and saying, well, let me put up the wild version of myself and bring out the composed version. Because there are people who needed to hear both sides of you in that moment. So what's going to happen when you start infusing your faith because of your belief and how you're built, your belief and how you're designed to operate? You're going to find, this is awesome. This is awesome. You're going to find you're always in the right place at the right time. You're never in the wrong place. Even if it's the wrong place, you make it the right place because you know how you're supposed to function when you get there. What happens is you'll start telling yourself, I have faith that if I'm here, I'm supposed to, you're going to insert verb here, right? So for me, I'm supposed to activate this room. If I'm here, I'm supposed to see something nobody else has seen yet. Those of you who labeled yourself as pessimists, I want you to think of yourself as either devil's advocates, right? You're designed to bring in rationale, to bring in logic, not to be negative and bring the room or the mood down, because a pessimist has that power. But that set, that mindset was given to you so that you could see things in a more grounded way. So that if you walk into a room full of dreamers and visionaries, you can bring in some foundation. Don't come in and bring the wet blanket. We don't want your wet blanket. Don't rain on the parade. Just come in and say, that sounds amazing. Now, what about if we add this foundation to what we're talking about, right? So you're going to find you're never in the wrong place. You're always in the right place at the right time. You maybe are called to see things that no one else sees. You might be called, and this is a tough one, you might be called to call out stuff that people are ignoring. But if you know that in advance, when you get in a room and people are ignoring something, you don't have to go, should I say something? You go, well, looks like I'm in the right place at the right time. I need to speak up. Those of you who have struggled with finding your voice, ask yourself, who am I when I'm at my most comfortable? What am I really good at doing? What do I see differently? And now you'll know that even in a setting where you're not comfortable, when you have the urge to shrink, to become a wallflower, instead of shutting down, you'll say, hey, this is how I am at home. I need to bring this to this workplace as well. Okay? So when you start infusing faith, the faith of who you are, how you're built, how you're designed to operate, your day job becomes your dream job, even if it isn't. See, so many of us, especially entrepreneurs or people who are working a day job but have another job they really want, or are working a 9 to 5 but really want to work for themselves, if we're not careful, we'll spend our days resentful of where we are. We are not designed to be resentful of where we are. We're designed to have joy in every space. We're designed to have joy in the transition from where we are to where we want to go. So when you have faith in how you're designed, what happens is your dream now is not about the job. Your dream is, I just want to be on purpose, in purpose, operating with purpose all the time. I can do that when I'm pumping gas. I can do it at a job that I don't even really like that much. I can do it in a room full of people that I don't even care for that much. Because it's always the dream if you're operating on purpose, even when it's a nightmare. Do you get what I'm saying here? Faith changes your outlook and it changes the way that you operate. It allows you to operate on purpose. And that means that if you're operating on purpose, which remember, your purpose is not the thing that you do. It is the thing that happens in others when you do what you do. If you're operating on purpose, that means that whenever you arrive somewhere, you understand what your function is, and you know that you can make any place a place of great impact. Good. I'm glad this is resonating with you. Catherine and Diana, I'm glad this is hitting home. You are women of big purpose. And if you're like Catherine, you are also very multifaceted. And one of the things we struggle with when we're multifaceted is, which thing do I do when? And is it okay to do this thing? And if you are a person of faith, sometimes you go, well, is this what God wants me to do right now, or is this for later? But when you start to have a clearer understanding of how you're designed to function and where you're designed, or how you're designed to operate when you show up somewhere, it tells you what to say yes for, and it tells you what to say no for. Go ahead to someone saying they have to go to dinner. That's okay. You'll watch the replay, okay? So here's the other thing that happens when you infuse faith. You can start making an impact now and not just later. Why? Because faith is fuel. Those of you who are just tuning in, when we talk about faith, in my case, I often am referring directly to my faith as a Christian, but we're also talking about faith in terms of faith in the way that you were built, the way that I believe God created you, right? That none of you are accidents, that even your personality, your physical traits, the way that you think, those were preset conditions. And your job is not to try to change who you are, but to figure out why you are who you are, so you can be about the business of becoming the biggest version. And what we're really saying is we don't want you to compartmentalize yourself. Just a quick review for those of you who are tuning in. just now. We don't want you to divide yourself up into 5 different versions: a home version, a work version, a church version, a serious version, a play version. We want you to get bold and brave enough to bring all of those versions of yourself, combine them into one awesome conglomerate, and bring that person to every table all the time. When you start behaving that way, you're going to get to do one of my favorite things. I talked about this yesterday in Houston at a session we did with women here about destiny and purpose and breaking out. When you start to infuse your faith into everything, what happens is your faith precedes you, right? So when you talk about faith, hey Nathan, faith means you have a set of predetermined beliefs, predetermined mindsets, predetermined modes of operation, and you're deciding in advance, this is how I'm always going to believe. Now, here's what happens. Most of us, we have faith, let's say on Sunday, and the pastor might say, if God be for us, and we all say, no one can be against us. We say, no weapon formed against us shall prosper. We quote all these scriptures, and they feel good in church, right? Because you're sitting next to all your like-minded kindred spirits, and you all believe the same way, and so you're bold in your faith. Then you go out and start the work week. Stuff happens to you and you go, they're all against me. All these weapons are just going to kill me. I'm never going to survive. What happened to Sunday? What happened to Sunday? You see, after Sunday, you got to go ahead and throw ahead into the rest of the week all your beliefs. Roll out kind of a red carpet of faith that goes ahead of you into the week. And you say, I'm going to stay on this carpet all week, so that when stuff comes at me, like rejection, you're going to rejoice in it. You say, that's ridiculous. Why would I rejoice in rejection? Because your faith tells you that everything's going to work for the good anyway. Your faith tells you that if God's for you, nobody can be against you. So even that crew who's decided they're against you, they don't even know what's up. They're wasting their energy. They can decide all they want, and you're going to decide not to engage because the battle's already won. That's your faith preceding you at work. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you take what you learn on Sunday, or whatever you have believed ahead of time about how you're going to constantly believe, stick to that. Infuse that into your everyday. Don't just leave this for some little compartment that we take out to feel good and feel inspiration on Sunday only. And then we put that away and try to deal with life on our own. You're not designed to just deal with life on your own in do-it-yourself mode. I'm preaching to the choir. I'm preaching to myself, actually, here. Because I love to do things by myself. And so what I used to do was think, okay, well, the church stuff is good. But now I got to pull up my bootstraps. I got to figure this out on my own. I got to make this happen. And that's tiring. What if I decide all the things that are designed for me are already laid out for me? I don't have to kick down doors. I don't have to bloody my fingers knocking on doors that I don't even know if they're the right ones to knock on. I don't have to kick stuff down. All I have to do is stay focused, prepare, be encouraged, stay in faith, and I will meet up with the opportunity. And then I'm going to have boundless expectation that when I hit that opportunity, I'm going to be ready for it. That's staying in faith and infusing your faith. The other thing that's going to happen, you're going to rejoice in rejection. That means you're going to understand, many of you have heard me speak on this before, rejection is divine protection. I don't have time. It could be a whole episode by itself. Rejection is divine protection. Your destiny and purpose are so huge that God says, I would rather you have your feelings hurt. I'd rather you be left at the altar than marry the wrong guy. I would rather you not get what you think is your dream job than have your purpose quenched in a place that can't appreciate you. So that's why you might be getting radio silence. Look, Diana, I will take that as prophecy, lady. I would love to be teaching across the globe. I love teaching in this way. Many of you heard me say that I never wanted to teach, and that was referring to piano, but I had no idea how much joy teaching was going to bring me. And that's because teaching is purpose, right? When I was just performing, even though that was kind of for the audience, it was also for me, right? I was using my degree. But in this way, I'm pouring out in a different way that really makes my purpose about other people, which is exciting. So thank you, Diana. So you're going to learn how to rejoice in rejection when you start to infuse your faith. You're going to learn how to reframe failure. Here's what's so awesome. When your faith precedes you, you actually really don't fail. You just falter a little bit, you learn from it, and then you get up and you reprocess what looks like a failure into being foundational material for the next thing you're about to do. I'm telling you, this way of living takes away that long downtime. You know, when you're rejected and then you're upset about the rejection for 6 months, you don't have 6 months to lose. You know, when you don't get the job and then you're kind of bitter for 4 months, you don't have time. You don't have 4 months. You don't have 4 weeks. You don't have 4 days to waste. So when you're thinking this way, when your faith precedes you, what happens is you operate differently and the world doesn't weigh on you. Remember we talked about that? The world shouldn't be weighing on you. You're designed to weigh, to have an impact on the world. The other thing you're going to know, and we talked about this a lot before as well, is that when you allow your faith to precede you, you're going to realize that it is always your time and you're always in season. We talked about this last week with boundless expectation. So you can have faith that you haven't missed anything. I speak to so many high achieving women. I know this is some of you out there. High achieving. Your laundry list of accomplishments would really put most people to shame. Yet you still lie awake at night thinking, I missed it. I missed my moment, or I'm never going to have another big hit. Some of you think, I just got my doctorate and that's the last awesome thing I'm going to do. Or, you know, I just won this big award, but will I win anything else? It's one of the biggest ploys, one of the biggest plots and strategies against our purpose and our future is to make us think we've already peaked. It's to make us think we're going to be a one-hit wonder. I was joking yesterday that as much as most of the world loves Beyonce, if her only song right now was still Single Ladies, we'd be feeling some type of way. We'd be like, come on, Beyonce, like Single Ladies was good and all, but can we get something else? You see, you're designed not to just have one hit in life, right? You're going to have multiple platinum #1 singles in your life, and they're going to keep coming back to back as long as you don't waste all these parts of your life in downtime, suffering from rejection, suffering from failure. If your faith is infused and precedes you on these things, you get up, you see things differently. When failure happens to you, you go, oh my gosh, this failure is happening for me. Give it to me, God. Let me know what I'm supposed to learn out of this thing. Do not let this situation be for naught. When you have faith in that way, everything looks different. It's like a new pair of sunglasses. Some of you have seen the graphic that we put out for this episode about faith. I think it's some shades sitting on like an open book. It's a new pair of sunglasses. It's a new filter. It's a faith filter. Oh my gosh, trademark that for me really quickly, Takira. Faith filter. That's what you have to start seeing life through, is a faith filter, a filter of faith, where things are rosy. They have a gold tint. You know, gold is the color of deities, the color of God, right? So when you start seeing things through that gold tint, you understand, man, this sure looks like a bad situation, but I'm not going to receive it like that. I'm going to receive it as it was intended to be learned from, because I'm designed to function a certain way. So when things happen to you, you're going to go, okay, this is happening. How is it happening for me? And what way do I know I'm designed to operate is going to help me get out of the situation or help me learn from the situation? Yes? I hope this is helping you. It's helping me as I tell you about it. I told you earlier why we've left faith at home or at church, or we think it's private, or we think it's divisive. It's only divisive if you let it be. I will tell you this, that I would say 95% of my speaking engagements are not faith-based. I do not speak in many churches aside from my own. I don't speak at many religious conferences. The last year, I've probably spoken in more corporate places than anything. I'm talking Mass Mutual, Nationwide, Hershey's, Valak, these companies. They're not calling me in to preach. But I want to tell you something that faith does. Faith, first of all, is your source. We actually had a clown at church come to speak, and he was amazing. And one thing he did was he showed us his cell phone, and he said, my cell phone right now is not plugged up to the charger. And he said, even though I'm not using it, it's constantly dying. And it's only at its best, its highest function, when it's connected to a source. You see, your faith is a source, and if you stay connected to it, you're at your most powerful. You can function without it. But if you don't plug in from time to time, you're losing power. You are losing power and you're losing effectiveness. Your data's running out, all that good stuff. You have to stay connected. So when you infuse faith, you're staying constantly connected to the source. And the same power that fuels you in the world, this hit me really hard for those of you who are high-powered, visionary women, men, entrepreneurs, speakers, coaches, teachers. You're out there giving your all to the world. They see you at your best. You're dressed to the nines, full makeup, ladies looking amazing, high energy, inspirational. You would never say anything harmful to your audience. And then you go home and you're tired. You're tired. You're anything but inspirational. You got your sweats on. There is no resemblance between you and the person on stage. Look, it's good to be able to go home and kick back and relax. You should be able to go home, let your hair down. But you should not go home and become a whole different person. If you're someone whose job and calling is to bring activation, inspiration out in the world, you better believe it's supposed to also start at home. You're going to need faith to believe you're designed to function that way everywhere you go. You're going to say, Jay, but I'm exhausted. You know, I give everything out there or I give everything at home. So when I go outside of my house, I don't have anything else to give. Restoration is what Gail says. That's right. She knows a lot about restoration and wellness. You've got to stay connected and say, God, fuel me so that I can be the same person who brings purpose out to the world into my home. So that I can be the same person who empowers my family to empower my workplace. Some of you will say, I'm not the boss. I'm not even a manager. I just work. First of all, I told you last week, you don't just anything. Just throw that word out of your vocabulary, especially in relation to you. You don't just do anything. You are not just a teacher. You're not just a housewife. You're not just an employee, okay? Everywhere you go, you have power with you. And so if your kids feel empowered by you, if your kids look at you and feel inspired, guess what? You have to have faith that that is a gift. And not only is it designed for your kids or for your husband, it is designed for the person in the cubicle next to you. It is designed for the staff who works underneath you. It is designed for the stranger in front of you at the grocery store. Tell you some of my most effective ministry, I never even get to say the word Jesus or quote a scripture. It's telling some lady usually in front of me at wherever I'm at. I would say grocery store. My husband would call me out because he does most of the grocery shopping, right? But if I'm, let's say, at Home Goods, because I kind of stay there a lot. If I'm at Home Goods and the line is long, I usually will have complimented 2 to 3 women before I've left that store. And part of it is because I really am just loving what she has on or loving the fact that her arms are amazing and I want to know what she does to get those arms, or maybe I really do love her hair. But I'll tell you what, I know, I have faith that I'm designed to activate people into feeling good about themselves, good enough to go out and do what they're designed to do. So when I do that, I feel good. It's almost a little bit selfish. When I tell people something awesome about themselves, I feel really good for doing that. See, that's faith. I had faith that I'm designed to make that person feel a certain way. And I love it when they say, oh my gosh, you totally made my day. Well, she just made my day by telling me I made her day. You see, back and forth. That's infusing your faith in small ways. If you have faith to believe that you're designed to be gentle and kind and loving and patient, long-suffering and peaceful and self-control, if you believe all those things, you take it with you. Your faith can go with you even to the gym. Does anybody take their faith to the gym? I got to know. I want to know how you take your faith to the gym. Many of you have heard me go on and on about kickboxing, which is something I'm loving right now. Okay, see my buff arms there. Loving kickboxing. And there's 30 seconds they give you after all the stretching where you can stretch however you want. And sometimes I struggle with energy, believe it or not. And some days I just don't have the energy that I want to have. Some days I am bouncing off the walls. Other days I don't have it. And so on the days especially that I don't have it, when we have those 30 seconds to stretch however we want, actually pray. Now, people probably think I'm stretching because we're, in a stretching position, but I pray. Here's what I pray. I say, God, you know that I really want to kick the heck out of this bag today. I don't want to waste this workout. I'm not promised tomorrow, so I don't even know if I'm going to get back to the gym tomorrow. Life is busy, so all I have is this hour right here. I expect that when my energy runs out, because I'm going to go full out anyway, even though I don't feel good, I'm going to go full out. I'm not going to hold back. So if I go full out, Father, I expect that 20 minutes in, you're going to rush in and you're going to renew me, you're going to restore me, and you're going to give me supernatural energy to finish the workout stronger than if I've been doing it on my own strength. Can I tell you, you got to see your girl. You got to come see. I'm going to get some video tomorrow from class. You got to see me work. I love going in there and knowing that I'm at my end, at my physical end, at my wit's end, and I know that the last half hour of the workout is not me. Do you understand? Then that goes with me out of the gym, because I remember if he cared enough to come into my workout, doesn't he care enough to help me on this next project? If he cares enough to help me with this project, doesn't he care enough to help me take care of my family? And you see the domino effect. The domino effect. It takes major faith just to go to the gym consistently. Amen. Amen. Sometimes, Gail, I'll pray on a Sunday night, Father, give me the strength to keep my commitment to myself and to my health. Convict me even if I don't have a good reason for backing out. And I'm gonna tell you what, when you spit that stuff out, when you say it out loud, he's gonna help you with that. So be careful what you pray for, because if you have faith, you're gonna get it. Lastly, your faith is gonna help you through stressful situations and trials, right? Something is going to happen this week. We already know that. We talked about this last week. Something's going to happen. Something good, something bad. You have to have faith now that you are built in a unique way to handle whatever situation comes. People always say, I had no idea that this thing was going to happen. This was completely unexpected. I have no idea how I'm going to deal with this. And you say that because you've never dealt with it before. But having not dealt with something before is not a determiner of how you're going to deal with it in the now. So you have to have faith now that in your arsenal of customized weaponry is the right tool, the right weapon to deal with whatever you're confronted with. But you got to decide that now on Sunday night before the thing comes on Monday or Tuesday. So have that faith in the beginning. I'm going to end by telling you why you need faith, in case you're not already convinced. And then I'm going to open the floor to Q&A. Ellen says she's serious. She's reminded of how much God loves you. Look, that's my job, to activate that part of us that forgets how much he loves us, that forgets how important we are. It's an interesting time that we live in, Ellen, where on one hand, we're told to have all this self-love and think of ourselves as extremely important. And then we're also told to be really humble and almost think of ourselves as nothing. I don't think either of those are the right extremes to be in. I think we're supposed to understand that without God, we are nothing. But that he has created us as powerful beings that have supernatural capabilities. And that our purpose, people say there's so many people on the earth, how could I really be that important to the grand scheme of things? I'm telling you, you are. And there are unique ways that we're called to function, that if you compartmentalize yourself, you leave your faith at home, you leave your personality at home, you leave your character or different parts of your character at home, you don't think those things are important, or you don't let people know about certain skills you have. You know, some of you are amazing singers and half the world didn't even know you could sing like that. Or some of you are amazing writers and the world didn't know you could write. You've been cheating us. You've been cheating us, and you're called to do whatever you do in a way that only you can do it. So I want to end by telling you why you need faith. Faith is fuel. You need faith. If you're anything like me, and I know that you are because you wouldn't be listening if you weren't, you are designed to move in big ways. You have big vision. You tend to want things to happen fast. Even if you don't consider yourself a fast mover, you want things to happen fast. I believed in acceleration, and I think that God is a God who moves, and in him we're supposed to live and move. So I think if we plug in, we can learn how to get to things faster than we would on our own. So faith is fuel that you need. And faith is also designed to spark bigger belief, bigger belief in you and in others, okay? So when I go and speak at these corporate engagements, I'm not up there preaching. I rarely ever quote scripture, but you better believe I talk to them about how I believe. I talk to them about how they need to believe differently in order to function differently. People usually bring me in, these billion-dollar companies, right, will say, Jade, come in and talk to us about record breaking. And they want to know, look, we had a great quarter last year. We made 20 million or 20 billion, and it wasn't our goal until 2020 to make 20 billion, but we made it in 2016. What do we do between 2017 and 2020 to not lose momentum? So they bring me in to speak on something like that, right? You better believe I talk about faith. Faith that they're designed to do things bigger than they've ever done it. Faith that they're designed to bust through status quo. Faith to believe that they still have the energy and the creativity and the innovation to hit higher goals. Faith to know that their first goal was too small. It's faith. Now, those things that I'm saying to them are based on my actual specific faith, but I can share it even without quoting a scripture. Now, what's amazing is people who do not share my faith, who have a professed different faith, will still come up and say, thank you for sharing your faith. And then people who actually share my faith, this is what faith does. Faith is a powerful connector to your crew. When you speak about faith openly and honestly, chances are you're not really going to offend anyone, but you're going to clue them into how you are powered. I think it's important for people to know how you are powered. And so when I'm in a situation where I'm not even really speaking about my faith directly, people who actually share my faith, they recognize the language. And they come up to me afterwards and they hug me and they say, we feel like family. And they go, oh my gosh, you're a Christian. Or that was faith. I love your faith. Faith is a unifier because everybody wants to have faith in something. Nobody wants to walk around without hope. So when you show up as a person of faith, faith is designed, whether people like it or not, to attract people to it. Faith is a magnet. Faith is, lastly, contagious. When you express your faith, in however way that looks, it might be in a faith-based setting where you can freely pray or freely speak about God. But a lot of times it's not going to be politically correct to do so. And I challenge you to, first of all, challenge the concept of politically correct in the appropriate situation. Sometimes you're going to be called to do things differently. And sometimes it's simple. It's just a simple preface to say, look, I know we're not all of the same faith, but the way that I believe is that all things work together for the good. So I know our company is in trouble, or I know our family is in trouble, but I have faith that if we continue to believe that we are on mission and on purpose, we're going to see this thing through. You see, you just shared your faith. You didn't try to convert anybody. You didn't try to proselytize. You just said, this is how my faith functions for me, and I think it can function for all of us in this moment. Isn't that amazing? So faith is designed to do all of those things. I hope that this spoke to you. I think faith is the missing ingredient. I think we've been tricked into leaving it at home or leaving it at church. And as a result, it has caused us to shrink our possibility, shrink our outcomes, and most of all, shrink who we're designed to be. Your faith is a lot of the fuel that's going to cause you to shine very brightly. Those of you who are in careers where you need to stand out, or those of you who are in careers where you need to produce at a high level, let me tell you what, you need a certain high level of fuel to help you get where you're going. So I want to spend a few minutes at least asking or answering any questions that you might have, or just responding to your comments. I hope this has been helpful. This is the 3rd episode of Get Your Designer Life. I want you to go right now, or bookmark it so you can go after we do questions. Go to designergrowthclub.com. We are just so excited to be opening a revolutionary new experience. This is for visionary women. I say go-getters, movers and shakers who know they've got more ground to cover, but they want to do it in record time. Many of you have tried coaching before, right? And then you get done with the coaching program and you kind of feel like, well, what now? You feel unplugged. So we talked a lot about staying to the source. And so Designer Growth Club is designed to be a source for visionary women. So go check it out now. Question, Stacy says she has 3 speaking engagements this week. God knew that she needed this. Stacy, the Bible says, do not worry about what you will say. I will give you the word. So know in advance, have faith that in each of those engagements, I don't care if they are night and day from one another, you already have the words required to bring about the impact that you're designed to make. So let me know, Stacy, how those engagements go. Decide in advance how you are designed to operate, so that even if all of those 3 settings, she didn't even ask me a question, y'all. I'm just totally coaching her right now. She didn't even ask me, but that's all right. If all of those 3 settings are very different, still go in there being the same Stacy. Be the same person, and then you'll know in the moment which parts of you to light up at a certain time. Do you understand? Awesome. DesignerGrowthClub.com. Thank you to Kira. May God restore you abundantly. Thank you so much, Gail. I am learning the lesson of restoration. Because if you're designed to move and shake, those of you who've been tuning in, you're also designed to rest. And so you have to learn how to rest effectively in order to be who you're designed to be. Any other questions? I'm glad that you guys have been enjoying this. Some of you said you're women of faith or men of faith, but maybe you haven't been using your faith as much or knowing you can infuse it more. Here's what you're going to do this week. You're going to say, I expect there to be opportunities for me to, first of all, bring all of myself to every table. And I expect for there to be opportunities for me to infuse my faith. And then when the moment arises, because it will, as soon as you put it out there, it's coming, it's already on your way. It's like you released it when you spoke it, right? You release those opportunities to be bigger. So those big moments are coming your way. Decide in advance how you're going to behave. And really make that list. Make that list about how you're designed and how you're designed to function. Some of you will say, I don't even know where to start with that list. Start by looking back. You'll see from the time you were a little child, you can see that you've always functioned a certain way, right? You were either always the person everybody came to for advice, or you were always the person everybody trusted their secrets with, or you were always the person who motivated a group. Diane's wanting to know, just wondering if I can use what you teach in your Bible study. Of course you can use it, lady. Please do. And let me know where you're having these Bible studies. I might want to pop by. You're in Houston, right? Let your girl know something. Lawrence says, I need to infuse my faith more. Lawrence, there are opportunities more than you know. In everyday life, I'm finding, much to my sadness actually, that there are a lot of people just looking for hope from anywhere that they can get it. And a kind word goes very far, especially in this great season of division that we have in our country. I don't know if you've noticed it, but people just seem a little meaner or a little tenser. We could be imagining that, but either way, it's a reality. Whether it's perception or not, it's kind of reality. I dare you to be the good thing in the room, to be the unexpected good thing. Lawrence, I know who you are and I know your spirit, so you're going to have that opportunity. Just don't dismiss it when the moment arrives. Diana, thank you that you feel like women need this. Women and men, of course, need this, and I love teaching and speaking to men and women. But in this season, I feel very drawn to what I like to think of as Deborahs. Deborahs and Esthers. These are biblical characters, if you don't know. And Deborah, to me, was the first multifaceted female leader mentioned in the Bible. I mean, this lady was a judge. She was a homemaker, wife, and she was called on because of her wisdom. And so I feel drawn to women who know they are called to do big things, but they feel a little bit trapped between the current version of themselves. They can see the bigger version of themselves on the other side, but how do I get there? And I think it's not just strategy. So if you go check out DesignerGrowthClub.com, what you'll see is that we're not helping you launch something. There's a lot of stuff out there that says, let me help you launch your business, which I know how to do. Let me help you write a book, which I know how to do. I know who can point you to do that. I want to go from being corporate to being entrepreneur. We don't really help you do that. We just help you launch you. You see, if I put all my energy into helping you become a certain type of woman, a certain type of woman who thinks a certain way, who expresses her faith in a certain way, who understands her business and her calling in a certain way, you can do whatever you want to do. I don't have to teach you one thing, because I want you to learn something that you can apply to everything, that you can apply to everything across the board. Full circle growth. You don't just need, I would work with women who would do, let's say, business coaching. They would want to launch a business. Well, let's say the program was 8 weeks. We're going to work on kind of the basics of the structure of their business. What I noticed is that the first 4 weeks, we were working on emotional stuff, spiritual stuff, mental attitudes, mindsets. Next thing I knew, 4 weeks was up, and then we only had 4 weeks left to really work on their business. What I was learning is the business wasn't the issue. The business wasn't the issue. It's about the woman behind it. Does she know who she is? Does she know how big she is? Does she know how to fight procrastination? Does she know how to speak powerfully about her mission and her message? Because if she doesn't, we can create the shiniest business platform. I can give her some good messaging. Those of you know, I will say I can put a sentence or two together. We can make something really awesome and glossy and brilliant. But if she then leaves and hasn't figured out what she's really called to do, if she's still being the smallest version of herself, if she doesn't have faith yet that she's called to make a huge impact, she's not going to be able to succeed. So my calling in this season is to help women grow into the biggest version of themselves, and to be able to hear in a way that's different, so that they can move in a way that's different. So this is what I like to think of as purpose-focused and destiny-powered and all those good words. So check it out at designergrowthclub.com. No more questions. I saw you, Diana. I saw what you were saying about your salon. I was on the website, so I know you're up to some amazing things. I'd love to come by and see what you guys are doing. But if there are no other questions, let me just check to be sure. We're going to sign off. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have more episodes to come the rest of August and all of September. Middle of September, we are opening the doors to Designer Growth Club. Go check it out right now, designergrowthclub.com, and pray over it. When you see it, don't be fooled by all the pretty pictures and the catchy phrasing. I want you to make a list before you even go to the website and say, what are the things that I need in this season to become the woman that I need to become? And then go to the website and see, are they offering what I need right now? There's a lot of stuff out there on the web, a lot of help being offered. I'm not going to bash any of it. I'll just tell you that my job is not to give you my template to try to get you to live my life and have my results. My job is to help you uncover the original blueprint that was always created for you, so that you can live the life that you were always designed to live. Take that. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks, Susan, Diana, Gail. You guys are always so wonderful. Ellen, TK, thank you for helping me out. Hit me up on Facebook. Let me know how you're feeling about these series, and just let me know your thoughts and your aha moments as you have them. All right, have a great night. See you back here next week.